Research methods in wargaming. Planting your feet. Research questions in a thesis. Last week, you selected a topic in Homeland Security to be the focus of your Homeland Security issue analysis. We're going to take it a few steps further this week. You're going to establish a research question and establish a thesis to answer that question. Establishing a research question is very important in conducting advanced research. If you think of research as a cone, a triangle, the larger topic that you chose last week is at the bottom. What we're going to do now is move upwards by narrowing it by selecting a research question. We do this by getting specific. This is important now, and it becomes even more important once you start to take on larger writing tasks and assignments. If you could think of writing a 300-page book using a very specific topic. Many times, researchers, academics, graduate students don't do a very good job at narrowing down their question because they simply do not get specific enough. You can get specific through a variety of ways. There are a few things that you need to take into account when you're determining what your research question is going to be. The first part is time. How much time do you have to do this assignment? While graduate students might have a year or two, maybe more, to write their dissertations or theses, in a professional environment, generally speaking, you're not going to have 6 months to write a report for the boss or the boss's boss. The other aspect of it is, how long do you want this to be? You do not want to have a very open-ended research question and be limited to, say, 5 pages. It doesn't make sense. You've got to narrow it down if you're going to do a thorough job. And another part that you have to take into account is the number of sources and the availability of sources, because there's many things that simply do not have a large body of literature written about them. The largest factor contributing towards your research question is probably, what's the purpose of your work? Now, I have seen, and many others probably have seen as well, fantastic papers that share a ton of great information, yet these are folks that didn't answer the question or it didn't achieve the task that they were given. These people literally wind up out in the woods, so to speak. Good rule of thumb in writing is if a paragraph doesn't contribute to your thesis, you have to ask yourself, why is it? Failing to do so will make you miss the bullseye. The paper won't answer the question you want. It won't provide the solution you're looking for. And while it might be a fantastically written paper, it's all for naught. The next aspect of this week's work is going to be research methods in wargaming. Planting your feet. Research questions in a thesis. Now, last week, you selected a topic at Homeland Security for your Homeland Security issue analysis paper. This week, we're going to take things a step further, and you will determine a research question and establish a thesis that answers that question. Research questions are very important because it takes us from the broad topic from last week to a more workable question that can be answered with a paper. Think of it as a cone. You have your topic down there at the bottom, and then as you refine your paper, you're going to go ahead and create the research question up here, and you're going to do that by drawing out specific issues or specific items from the topic. Now, you can get specific in a variety of ways, but there are different aspects that you really need to take into account. First, you need to take a look at what is the time constraint that you're given. You might have 6 months, you might have 2 weeks, you might have the weekend. This will help determine how specific you want to make your paper, your manuscript. The other thing is size. If you have an assignment that someone wants 2 pages, you're probably going to want to get pretty specific or be very broad and rather shallow. Either way, you have to tailor your research question to the length that you're confined to. Academics tend not to have confinements. When you write a dissertation, sometimes the longer the better, but in most cases, there is a finite size that the instructor will want. Same thing goes with professional writing. Usually, in at least the private sector, they want, they'll want the full body, but they'll want a section at least to say, okay, give me the Kipling or letter notes, give me the summary. Everyone's heard the term, show me, don't tell me how to make the watch, tell me what time it is. So you have to take all that into account too. Another aspect that you need to account for in writing your research question is how much information is available about your topic. Most of the topics at the DHS website have a wealth of sources, tons of places to refer to. That's not always going to be the point. A lot of times, I know working in assessing military capabilities of countries, there are some countries that very little is written about, like the Caucasus regions, or as they're known, the Stans. You won't find tons of books written about them. Now, if you want to read about Russia, Germany, France, those are better known countries. So take that into account when you're writing your research question. The main compelling thing you have to ask yourself about your research question is, what's the purpose of your work? What are we looking to do here? It's not unusual for great students and wonderful writers to submit papers or hand in work, send things around the office that are, again, great pieces of work and fantastic research, but they don't essentially do the job. They get lost in the woods. They turn into more research papers that, simply summarize what's already known. They don't really have much direction, or they're just so broad, you miss what the point is. They miss the mark, so to speak. So the research question is important because it's going to focus what you're going to do for the rest of the semester or term. After establishing a robust and good research question, now you have to answer it. And this is going to be the thesis of your Homeland Security issue analysis. This is the stepping off point, and this is going to offer your paper direction. You're going to find, or you might already even know, that many debates, questions in Homeland Security have a variety of different roads they can take. There are established schools of thought on topics. If you want to think about airport security, there are a lot of people who think we should be doing one thing. Many people think we should be doing the other. Some people think there could be a combination, and these are all possibilities. You can either take that route, or you can go ahead and maybe chart something and build your own road. Maybe offer a new solution, which is fine as long as you can support it and it's logical. So remember, these are going to be the focus of your Homeland Security issue analysis that are due in week 7. If you have any questions at any time, feel free to contact me by phone or email. My contacts are listed under instructor contacts on the Blackboard website.